Welcome back to the Weekly Grind with Bean. Last week, the 11.0.7 Siren Isle patch dropped, and we got a ton of new news and datamined Season 2 information to share, such as some exciting changes coming to Mythic Plus in Season 2. We are getting the new Mythic Plus The War Within Keystone Legend Season 2 achievement. For this achievement, once you reach a rating of 2,850 during the War Within Season 2, you will be rewarded with no more key depletions on 12 and below. Failing to clear a Mythic Plus dungeon within the timer will no longer reduce the level of your keystones below 12 for the season. From the vault, you will not have a key decay and will always get a 12 key as well. You can still lower the key level by speaking with Unedermine, but once you have this achievement, it's all 12s all the time. And I was just complaining about key depletion last week, but I think this is actually a really cool idea, and I'm excited to see how it plays out and feels for everyone. I kind of think that the rating required is a little bit high, especially since I wanted depletion to be gone for the lower key level specifically when people are learning and could use some consistency and difficulty. If this works out well though, maybe we could see multiple levels of this depletion removal. It would be nice if maybe the Keystone Conqueror and Keystone Master achievements also had similar depletion removal up to a certain key level. With Keystone Legend being the max at 12, it could work in intervals of 4. So Keystone Conqueror could remove depletion up to +4s, and Keystone Master could remove depletion up to +8s. Let me know what y'all think about this, or if you have some better ideas on how it might be implemented. In addition to the depletion achievement, we are getting some new and updated affixes. Enemy buffs on all Xal'atath bargain affixes with Xal'atath's gift will increase damage up to 50% and reduce damage taken up to 100% for 20 seconds on all nearby enemies in combat. There's a new affix called Xal'atath's Bargain Pulsar. When in combat, Xal'atath summons pulsars that orbit players and replaces Xal'atath's Bargain Oblivion from Season 2. Xal'atath's Guile is also getting some changes, with keystones above level 12 having an increase of health and damage by 12% instead of 10%. Voidbound has been redesigned. Dark Prayer taking 15 seconds to cast, and granting all nearby enemies the Xal'atath's gift buff when the cast completes. No longer grants damage reduction while active. And the potency of Xal'atath's gift granted by Dark Prayer will be based upon the remaining shield. So I can't say I really have an opinion on these without experiencing them in action though, so when we get to Season 2, I will have more to say on these. Next, Season 2 tier set bonuses and models have been revealed, and Blizzard is experimenting this season with having everyone's 2-piece bonus being role specific, such as tank, healer, range DPS, and melee DPS, and the 4-piece bonus being spec specific. Tanks get Luck of the Draw, which will have a chance to proc each time they take damage. Healers will have Insurance, which will have a chance to proc from healing spells. Melee DPS will have Winning Streak, which will have a chance to proc from spells and abilities. And range DPS will have Jackpot, which will have a chance to proc from damaging spells. So each 2-piece role-specific bonus will allow you to have a chance to proc the key buff, which seems to cast one of your abilities for a certain duration or at a certain strength. It also seems there will be an additional component, such as an ability or spell that will be used to guarantee the proc, or just having increased damage for a period as well. I play Prot Pally, so I'll use that as an example for y'all. With the tank role, Prot Pally's 2-piece bonus, each time I take damage, there will be a chance to activate Luck of the Draw, which is the tank specific buff. And this will cast Guardian of Ancient Kings, which is one of my defensive abilities that reduces damage taken by 50% for 4 seconds. And it will also increase my damage done by 15% for 10 seconds. So with this, all roles will have a similar bonus for their 2-piece, which I'm unsure how I feel about. Looking at how the 2-piece works for the other tanks, they're all basically the same. They grant a free defensive for 4 seconds along with the 15% damage increase for 8 to 10 seconds. I'm not really sure why they don't all have the same 8, 9, or 10 seconds, but I would hope that having the 2-piece be equally strong for everyone sets a performance baseline that might allow them to have a little more fun with the spec-specific 4-piece while knowing that the 2-piece is not leaving anyone behind balance-wise. The Prot Pally 4-piece makes it so that while Luck of the Draw is active, Shield of the Righteous, which is my main holy power spender, will refund 1 to 3 holy power when cast, and extend the duration of Luck of the Draw by a half a second, maxing out at 10 seconds. I'm already hitting this ability a ton, so this means I'll be absolutely slamming this key and having a great time. It kind of reminds me of the Templar build from Season 1, which I really enjoyed playing, as it had you trying to keep up the Shake the Heavens buff through holy power generators and interrupts, and it actually kind of changed your rotation quite a bit. You would have to balance trying to keep the buff up as long as possible while also need to make sure you're not forgetting about staying alive and using your defensives and mitigation as well. While I am happy with the bonuses for Prot Valley, I looked at the other tank specs, 4-piece bonuses, and the Demon Hunters in particular is kind of boring, as it just has a chance of resetting the cooldown on the hunt. I'm really hoping each spec can get something a little more interesting for their 4-piece. Let me know how you guys feel about this. You can vent or gush in the comments about how things are looking for your role and spec in Season 2 with these bonuses. I will share links in the description for the tier set bonuses as well as many upcoming class changes coming with the Undermined in 11.1. Next we have a change found coming in 11.1 in which Augmentation Evokers no longer are able to buff tanks or healers with Ebb and Might. This change is pretty devastating to Aug, as it was being taken often to provide extra survivability. I'm not really sure how the class will end up doing with this change, but I really like the idea of support specs. With Aug being the only one in the game still, changes like this can have a drastic effect, and there's no other supports to bounce around. So if Aug can't match the other DPS specs in damage or provide value with group survivability, then it feels like it's going to be a little bit too reliant on the other two DPS in the group that have to be very good at their job to make the Aug worth bringing. All you Aug players, let me know what you think about this change, and I guess support specs in general. Next, we have a ton of new mounts and weapons and armor that we can expect in Undermined. And we will start off with the Mythic mount drop, the Big G, that will drop from Gallywix, and the Mecha Tyrannosaurus can also drop from the raid. Then we have the War Within Season 2 Keystone Master Mount, the Crimson Shredder Tank, earned when reaching a rating of 2000. The War Within Season 2 Delve Mount is another customizable airship, and it also has a golden variant that will be unlocked by completing the Delve Pinnacle Challenge that will be similar to the Zekfir ? Challenge. Many other goblin-inspired mechanical mounts have been data mined. These will be great for players that love the junkyard tech aesthetic. And we also got a couple armored hyena mounts too. There's a couple electro eels and a fellbat that can be earned through PvP shenanigans. And last for mounts, we got some future trading post mounts like color variants for the Dark Moon Charger, different colored butterflies, an emerald snail, the Shimmer Mist Freerunner, and the Unstable Rocket. Then we have a ton of Undermined weapon and some armor models as well, which I won't go over every single one since there's so many. But if you like the Goblin style, you will be happy. I would say my favorite is actually the two-hand mace, which is just a big-ass rocket hammer. Definitely check out the link and see what everything looks like for yourself. While we're on the topic of models, some new Ethereal models have also been data mined in 11.1. Now, of course, the Ethereals have experience with the Void Lord Dimensius, for whom Xalatath is the Harbinger, and we also have Nexus Princess Hyveza from the Nerebar Palace raid, so it only makes sense that they would be pretty relevant moving forward in the World Soul Saga. But of course, as WoW players, we are always wanting to jump to the conclusion of a new playable race, and the Ethereals are undeniably cool. I would definitely love to be able to make a few of these. So who knows, between the Ethereals or maybe even the Haranir, if we will be getting some new playable races soon, or maybe it's just more assets for NPCs moving forward. Next up, in the Liberation of Undermine raid, we have a 20 level raid Renown track that has been data mined and has a fair bit of cool rewards to work towards. There's a raid skip, a Dinar-like currency, Warband, damage and healing buffs, out of combat speed buffs, and maxing at level 20 gets you a title, mount, and a raid portal. Thankfully, it seems like most of the rewards are active in or directly related to the raid, so for those who do not enjoy raiding, it should not feel like mandatory grinding. But for everyone that likes raiding, this is awesome, and it just makes it feel like there's even more rewards for spending time raiding. Some of these rewards would normally be associated with completing the raid at a specific difficulty, so I am curious to see how everyone will feel about potentially being able to earn all the Renown track rewards without needing to be a hardcore Mythic raider, and instead just putting in a lot of time at the lower levels. I'm sure that you go through the Renown track much slower at LFR and Normal than Heroic and Mythic, but the way I see it, only ahead of the curve and cutting edge really matter in the end when it comes to exclusive rewards for hardcore players. I personally don't really think it matters if other players can still get a bunch of cool stuff if they're having fun and putting in the time in the raid. Some new Warband login screens, including the Nightfall Sanctum, which gives kind of a pirate hideout vibes, Gallywix's Galagio, where the next raid will take place, Freywold Spring, which is an earthen village, and another campfire setting in a more open and bright area than the first one. Along with the new Warband login screens, we are also getting the ability to create up to 20 groups of Warband characters. So you could have some custom themed groups of characters and save them so you can change your selection whenever you want. You could even randomize which group will appear on your login, as well as the setting. It is worth noting that an achievement to unlock the Freywold Spring campsite was also found, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see how the others are unlocked. In delving news, it seems like Gilded Crests will become more attainable in delves than they were in Season 1. The sources that provide Gilded Crests will be Mythic Liberation of Undermine, Mythic Keystone Dungeons +8 and up, Delves Gilded Stash Tier 11s, and the Delver's Bounties Tier 8 and up. We already know about Delver's Bounties, but I've only gotten like 7 of those so far in Season 1, so they do not feel like something I can count on to get Gilded Crests. I think that keeping this low drop rate would be fine if there was also an ability to earn additional bounties, whether that's through the Undercoin system or maybe just a weekly quest. That way there's some guaranteed rewards to look forward to as long as you complete the challenges. As for the Gilded Stash, I would hope that this is just something you get as long as you have a coffer key and complete the Delve challenge. That way it's not spammable, but you still get a good reward as long as you put in the work to get your coffer keys and knock out your bountiful delves. I think this change is fine, as Blizzard have stated they see delves as an endgame pillar, so it only makes sense that if they take that claim seriously, then we should be able to reliably earn endgame rewards for spending time delving. Delve system is still not currently on par with M+ or rating, in my opinion, in terms of either fun or rewards. But I do enjoy it, and I want to see it continue to improve, so hopefully it can reach those levels. I think delves can be a great endgame activity for groups like mine that typically only get together a few times a week, so they kind of offer a nice avenue for us to improve our gear solo or in smaller groups. That way, once we all get back together for raids or M+, we have a little bit of an easier time each week. Next, I have a bunch of quickfire stuff that is pretty cool, but I don't really need a bunch of time to cover. We'll start off with the new Xiaolu pet being released for retail in China. This is the first pet with the ability to teleport players, allowing them to teleport to any Miss of Pandaria dungeon or raid, which is pretty nifty. We might discuss this a little bit more next week, as it's always fun to talk monetization in a subscription game, but the pet is undeniably cute and convenient. Then we have the MDI Great Push returning on January 22nd with a time trial. So register now and see how far your team can push to compete for 200k. The January trading post preview has released if you want to check it out, but this has kind of been a huge news week, so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time going over that next week. And finally, we have the Blizzard Holiday Sale active. It's 30% off War Within and character services, and 50% off mounts, pets, and toys, ending on January 7th. And now let's get into the weekly grind. This week we have the Feast of Wintervale event, which will be live through January 5th. For this event, you want to find Great Father Winter in either Ironforge for the Alliance or Orgrimmar for the Horde, and you can complete some quests, including the quest to defeat the Greench and free Metzen the Reindeer. There's actually a sleigh ride shortcut available near Great Father Winter now that will take you straight to Hillsbrad Foothills to his cave. This will make things just a little bit quicker. Just make sure you have a way to get back quickly, like a Hearthstone, or asking a mage for a portal. After defeating the Greench, picking up the stolen treats, and talking to Metzen the Reindeer, you can return to the Wintervale hub area to turn in the quest and receive a stolen present, which can contain anything from a lump of coal to toys that were available in previous Wintervales. This quest is completable daily, so go ahead and knock it out to get some cool presents. Starting on December 5th through January 2nd, you can start opening the presents under Great Father Winter's tree, and this can be done with multiple characters if you want a better chance at getting some cool stuff. Doing the daily Greench runs and opening the presents are the main things I like to do during the event, but of course there's a bunch more activities that you could do, such as wrapping your own in-game gifts with wrapping paper and giving them to your friends or guildies. You could work on achievements for the Merrymaker title, tracking down the new Reindeer Hunter pet, and defeating the festive bosses for a chance at the holiday hat drops. Wowhead, of course, has a great guide you could glance over to see what interests you. So have some holiday fun. We are now also a week into the 11.0.7 patch and the Siren Isle zone. So if you haven't checked out the new zone, get your new Circe Circlet ring and farm out the gems you need for it. It's not very strong initially despite the high eye level, so you really need to make sure you have the best gems possible. You can knock out the weekly quest to upgrade it, so it's actually worth wearing. Besides that, if you're looking for an actual grind, the Siren Isle is the spot with all the new transmog and other things that you can get with the new currency, the Flame Blessed Iron. I have started my Thryer Stormcrow mount grind and have completed it. The torrential fragments are definitely the thing that takes the longest if you're trying to get Thryer. I would recommend starting or joining a group that is farming mobs in the Storm instance, coming up to this area in front of the Forgotten Vault near Ghost Stone Diggings. There's a lot of wraiths in this area that you can kill quickly, and they respawn pretty quick too. Most of the other things you need to get Thryer you actually get fairly quickly just from kind of exploring and defeating enemies in the Siren Isle. I will say that the Siren Isle feels pretty dull if you end up in an instance without many other players, unfortunately. The Storm instance in particular feels less fun, despite having more and stronger enemies. I like the regular version of the Isle more because of the excavation events that can be kept rolling pretty consistently. The excavation areas in the Storm are not even used, which feels kind of lame. It would be cool if there was some kind of Storm event that could be contributed to as well. Or maybe even some like kaiju bosses that would help gather players more than just a couple rares. Other than that, make sure to get all of your enemy specific stuff done each week, as the zone actually cycles through invasions. The first week was the Vrykul, and I'm not sure what the second week is going to be. So it seems like it's just going to be kind of a 3-week cycle where, you know, you'll have Vrykul, then either Naga or Pirates, and then the final one, and then I would assume that it would just repeat like that forever. As for the anniversary celebration event, we still have time walking and 2 more weeks to grind to get any rewards you still want. There's no guarantee on what items will or won't return for future celebrations, so make sure to get what you like. I would also start on the guest relations secret event if you're interested in the Fell Cycle or any of the other stuff that it rewards. For PvP, we have the Arena Skirmish event, in which arena skirmishes will award honor at an increased rate, and we have the PvP brawl South Shore versus Tauren Mills, which is a 40 versus 40 deathmatch, with the first team reaching 150 points winning. And finally, we have our weekly chores, so make sure to knock out what you care about. And that's our weekly grind, everyone. Please like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and catch us live to hang out whenever we stream to help support the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next week.